Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Slinsky, aka the Running Wine Mom. And today we're diving into a topic that feels especially relevant this time of year, dealing with the stress that often comes with the holidays. Joining us today is Brittany Genfania, a therapist and author of Vinny Goes to Therapy. Brittany brings a wealth of expertise in mental health and family dynamics, helping people navigate challenging times with practical strategies and compassionate insights. With the holiday season just around the corner, we're here to talk about real solutions for managing the many layers of holiday stress, from family dynamics and financial pressures to keeping things in perspective amidst the hustle and bustle. So whether you're a parent trying to create special memories for your kids or just looking to make it through December without feeling completely drained, we're here with some helpful tips to make the season feel a little bit more manageable and a lot more joyful. So without further ado, let's welcome back Brittany to the show. Welcome, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it is great to have you. Brittany was on last year twice. She also talked about the holiday stress as well. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into it this year. But before we jump into today's discussion on managing holiday stress, I wanted to share something exciting about Brittany's new venture. She recently started a monthly women's group focused on creative outlets. It's a chance for women to step away from daily stress and reconnect with their passions. This group is open to everyone, whether you're a student, a working professional, or a parent. It's all about finding space to nurture creativity, unwind, and support one another in a positive environment. So, Brittany, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what inspired you to start this creative outlet for women, and how does it help women manage everyday stress in a unique way?
So I work primarily, the majority of my clients are women, and they're anywhere from transitioning into their college experience, graduating, going into their professional careers. I'm also working with people that I've been working through all of that, and then now they're getting married, starting their newlywed phase. I work a lot with pre and postpartum perinatal treatment with women, and then all the way up to what people call like the empty nesters. And I think they all had a common response when I would say, "Tell me about your week." And they would say everything that they did for everybody else. And then when I would say, "Well, let's reel it back a little bit. What did you do for you?" And nearly all of them would say, "I don't even know how to answer that." So it kind of like brings us all, and I can agree with that as well. We lose ourselves. So when we ask often, like, what do you do for fun? What do you do, hobbies and interests? A lot of the time we feel like we've lost those parts of ourselves. So the idea of this group is to kind of find ourselves in new ways, new versions of ourselves, and kind of dive into being selfish and being okay with that.
That's amazing. So, how do you see creativity as a tool for reducing stress, especially for these women who are balancing everything, demands at work, school, and family life? Like, how will creative space help them?
Doing it mindfully, so recognizing that the to-do lists can wait, the needs of everybody else can wait, making dinner, homework, whatever it is that you're having to do, that can wait, but doing so in a way that you are so grounded and focused solely on yourself. Art therapy can be an absolutely beautiful tool and technique that you're seeing the emotions come out in you in a very artistic way, but it's very different than traditional coping skills. It's oftentimes hard to see the benefit after that. But here, if you're doing art, like the first group that we're doing is painting like actual flowers onto canvas, and you're going to walk away with something that you're very proud of yourself that you've done. Various themes are going to be bouquet decorating from a florist. We have cookie decorating from a baker. So it's going to be diving into various different things, but doing it in a way that you can walk out and say, it wasn't my best, but I had a lot of fun and I connected with other women that are kind of in the same boat.
And I love there are a lot of, women's groups out there and things like working out groups or this or that, but the creativity really is something that women need. And I always say, like, I started this podcast out of a need for creativity and trying something on my own that I didn't know. And the happiness that it's brought me is like beyond anything I ever could have imagined. And I think that setting something up for women to find that little part of themselves again that maybe they don't always have, and bringing something physical home with them to look at and say, like, this is something that I want to keep up with, or I did this, and bring that feeling back. I love that. It's
Mhm.
awesome. I'm excited to see how it pans all out and excited to come to one. whenever I can figure it out on my own crazy schedule.
Right?
So now let's get into the real stress that's about to come up with Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, all New Year's, all of the seasons. Last year, I felt like the episode was just so helpful for people to hear about how to deal with stress. But since you joined us last year, have you noticed any shifts in the types of stress people feel around the holidays, maybe especially as life's gotten busier for many families?
Financial stress, things have changed drastically financially for a lot of people. So the need to feel like you have to keep up and maintain this certain status or this certain type of holiday that might just not be financially like your reality right now. Also, the election is a pretty pivotal moment for a lot of people. So the stress and fear of going to visit family members or friends that may have opposing views, and it's okay if you need to take some time and not dive into, maybe political conversations and stuff like that. So those two have been the number one topic. I think they share the top seat for some of my clients now.
And not to get too deep into the politics because we've heard all about them, but I do also know there are so many people that are really stressing over those family gatherings during the holidays. What's the best advice that you can give someone who has opposing political views than someone, or if they're coming into a scenario where a family member is very forceful on their views, whether it's, liberal or Republican?
Well, there's kind of like twofold to this. Recognizing what you can and can't control. We can only control our opinions. We cannot control other people. But having clear cut boundaries in what you will and won't accept. And if you know it's going to be very emotionally taxing, you don't have to go.
Yeah.
Let's be unapologetically selfish and focus on what's going to work for us. And if we know that it's going to be extremely difficult, there's no sense in putting ourselves into those difficult situations.
Yeah, and that was not that my next question was going to be about political boundaries, but just regularly setting and reinforcing boundaries. There's a lot of family gatherings, a lot of holiday parties, and it can be really tough to maintain boundaries because you might have your mother in law saying, "Oh, I want you at this event with us." You might have your mom saying, "I want you at this event with us." And it all of a sudden you're at the end of the holiday season and you're like, I didn't even get to enjoy any of it because I've run myself to the ground. But what advice do you kind of have for parents on really reinforcing boundaries without the feeling guilty or causing tension? That's something that I still feel guilty at 38 when I say no, I can't come to my parents.
Yeah, it's hard. And I don't think that there's like a clear cut answer. It's different for everybody. Everyone's family dynamic is different. We oftentimes say we're going to have boundaries and we're going to put our foot down, and then we feel guilted into something. If you're one that has children, I put the kids first. So if it's going to be long car rides and you know it's going to mess up nap time or their routine, you have to prioritize what's going to work for your family. You're welcome to, if it works for everybody. Hey, come on over to our house. This would work better. The kids are napping and we'd love to see you. It might not work for us to travel outside. And I mean, again, that's very individualized what will work, but just the typical themes of holidays is traveling to see everybody. And that in and of itself trains kids, which then trains the parents. You lose the magic of the holidays. It just becomes far too stressful for everybody.
Yeah, and that again brings me into the next topic, which is maintaining realistic expectations. What are some ways that parents can really manage your expectations for the holiday season so they can avoid burnout from trying to create this perfect holiday experience?
I would say lower the expectations and make it doable. When people say let's make it manageable, we still feel like we have to squeeze everything in, but make it doable. Don't fill
Yeah.
your calendar so then you're feeling more and more exhausted. And you don't have to go and do all of these extravagant things. Some fun things that we like to do together is like a board game and hot cocoa night. You're relaxing at home. Like there's little to no stress with that. You can do holiday jammies in a holiday movie and you're all cuddled together and you're just kind of prioritizing that sense of just connecting together and you're not worrying about external connections or obligations or anything like that.
Yeah, and the other one, if you're listening in the Bucks County area, I think we talked about it last year. A really low stress activity is the Lower Bucks Holiday Tour set up. They have families send in their if they're going to decorate, big for Christmas. They just did it for Halloween as well, which was really cool. And then they take all of the submissions and they create different routes, and it's just such a cool thing to do when you're like, all right, I don't want to do anything. Let's just go look at Christmas lights. And this is going to give us a map of how to get to see some good houses. And you'll see other good ones along the way, which is also pretty cool. So that's something looking, for the Christmas lights.
We've done that when I was growing up too. We've been starting to do that with our kids. Like we bake their favorite cookies, and then we have like all the jammies and the blankets set up
Oh,
and their car seats and stuff, and then we just drive around, look at lights, and that's their favorite part.
yeah,
Their
it's
absolute
so
favorite part.
nice. Oh, while we may sit here and say low stress activities are the way to go, we're constantly scrolling on social media and there's a constant comparison on social media of who's doing what. It kind of portrays this idealized holiday scene. How can parents avoid, the trap of comparison and focus on more what matters for their family rather than that comparing to what their neighbors are doing?
I think social media has just kind of like made everything completely unrealistic. Personally, I think I believe a quarter of what is shown. And then I feel like before Pinterest and Instagram and seeing all of these beautifully trimmed trees and mantles and people going on these lavish vacations, it's just not realistic. It really isn't. So bringing back to the basics, focusing on what is realistic for you guys individually, each family.
Yeah. And that also goes kind of back with financial boundaries and gift giving. We see all of these lavish gifts and these kids getting all of these huge presents. What's your advice for parents who really feel the pressure to overspend on gifts? How can they manage their financial boundaries while still feeling like they're giving their family a meaningful holiday?
Well, setting a realistic budget, it's easier said than done because, one thing leads to the next. But also, it's the external family members too. So, like, if you're having a holiday get together and, oh, like the fear of everybody giving gifts, and then you have to provide gifts for everybody else too. I don't see anything wrong with setting the expectation that, hey, we're keeping it light this year. We just have to be realistic with how life is right now. You
Right.
know, something that we've been teaching our kids. I mean, practice makes improvements. Like as they get, hopefully they get it more. Making sure that we're donating. Part of gift giving is we're baking for people. Like bringing it back, really, back to basics and keeping things simple. Also, really good resources are some books that we've been receiving. PJ Library sends out monthly books, and they've had some really great ones about, you know, um, people who are more fortunate than others, and just it gives a different perspective for kids.
Yeah. It's definitely important. And speaking of the kids, they have their own holiday stress as well. Do you have any advice on helping children manage their stress around the holidays, whether it's from busy schedules, overstimulation, or just high expectations?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the traveling with kids, it really takes a toll on them. So, although holidays can be very crazy, as the parent, we're their comfort zone. So reminding them that we're going to spend, one-on-one time or family time connecting together, that they can decompress too. Kids have the same emotions that parents do. They just have a difficult time sometimes navigating it. In my book, Benny Goes to Therapy, there's tons of examples on how to express your basic emotions along with coping skills that are very easy, and they're easily done too, right? You could do it in the car seat, you could do it going to bed, and um, really focusing on that, them being out of their routine and all of the excitement. They really need some time to decompress themselves too.
Yeah, and one strategy we use, practicing gratitude to relieve stress. How can parents use gratitude practices to help keep things in perspective during the holiday season? And are there any specific practices that maybe you recommend?
Well, focusing first and foremost on explaining what being grateful and having gratitude means for them specifically and what their family. Again, not comparing to other people's definition of it. Um, Focusing on I know this is really difficult to do and sometimes unrealistic, but not like having the holidays be more about not just gifts. Like bring some of that magic back, bring some of the simplicity back. It'll alleviate stress for the parents, alleviate the expectations for the kids. It kind of changes from family to family. Everybody has their own sets of boundaries, but I'm all about bringing more simplicity and back to the basics.
Yeah. And how about, I know sometimes you're, in the moment and things are going all out of sorts. So for the parents that are juggling a million things, what are some maybe quick, actionable mindfulness techniques that they can incorporate either into their daily routine or just like in the moment to kind of stay grounded?
One thing I've been hearing a lot from clients is they feel more triggered, right? So the holidays often brings up like we have to do family traditions. Well, sometimes they're not so pleasant. So you're oftentimes triggered by different family, memories. So it's grounding yourself. Grounding techniques could be as easy as, focusing on your senses, recognizing, you know, your sense of smell, smelling, your traditions of cookies baking, the tree, um, looking at the lights, but in more of a way that's like you're creating your own traditions, you're creating your own sense of family, focusing on your nuclear family, not the extended family, too. This is the family that you're creating, not the family that you came from.
Yeah, that's so important. So besides the Christmas stress, then comes New Year. So you're as the year kind of wraps up, many parents they want to set intentions or goals. It's only natural for us, January 1st, I'm going to start something new. But what is maybe a healthy way to reflect on the holiday season and carry those lessons into the new year?
Well, I always encourage my clients never say, I'm setting a New Year's resolution. That is just setting yourself up for disaster. And it's filled with shoulds and shouldn'ts. Like, I should be doing this, but I'm not doing this. And then you feel like you're failing. Instead, set yourself up with certain intentions. And those are more easy to have more leniency with. um, Focusing back on, increasing the positivity within yourself, and how you wish to show up for your kids in that way as well.
Yeah.
But keep it very simple. Like I've seen people online being like, New Year's resolution, I'm going to fold all my laundry and put it away in the same day. You are just setting yourself up for this.
I'm like, that was definitely something that I did. I will say, I think this year I did get better at laundry doing, not putting away, but doing it.
Yeah.
But it was like it is. It's like you get all gung ho the first like 3 weeks, and then you're like, this is just unrealistic.
And then you're burnt out. I say just give
Hmm.
yourself permission to not be at the top of the top and,
Yeah, that's very important because we're all in this competition where there's no prize at the end, which is
Mhm.
something that that helps me like it's positive and negative to think like none of this really matters, but it does. But I'm like, if I don't get my laundry done, no one's coming to like put me in jail. It doesn't,
Right.
even though that's what it seems like when you don't get it done.
Right. I mean, the only competition that you're in is with yourself. And if we start to give ourselves permission to not be the best at something or keep up with everything all at once and you kind of give yourself a little bit more flexibility, I think that
Yeah.
we're more successful.
And I think also one thing, especially with young kids, to remember, which I just realized that, just reflecting on my weekend, kind of go a little bit off topic, but my daughter, everyone does a birthday party for their kids, and I was feeling like super guilty because I just didn't have a kids party for her. I'm like, I just it's not fitting into my, our schedule. But we asked her what she wanted to do, and she wanted to do a playground, go to all her favorite playgrounds. That's what she wanted to do. So Saturday we went to 4 different playgrounds, we got lunch. She had the best day. And I was like, okay, if I would have forced a party, it would have just been like to post that we had a party for her instead of doing what she actually wanted to do. So that's something also, I think as parents, again, they don't have social media. They don't know what kind of parties their friends are having. They want to do the simple things. So bringing it back to, like you said, simplicity that's what kids want.
I had a very similar experience a couple weeks ago. My son turned 4 and he he has one, two like really good friends and he wants to play football. So we just had a family party and the couple friends that he wanted. It was
Yeah.
football themed, and he wanted everybody to wear their favorite football shirts.
Aw.
We had a football game on the outside TV, and it was just like relaxing. He didn't want
Mm-hmm.
us to sing happy birthday at all, so everyone just yelled happy birthday.
Aw.
Perfect for him, but I felt the same. If I were to have forced inviting every single person and having this big birthday party, he would have been miserable.
Right.
And
Yeah. We forget that sometimes. Well, this was so helpful. Do you think there's anything that we missed in regards to holiday stress or the new year?
I would love to reiterate that our kids are watching us. So if they see us getting really stressed about needing everything to be perfect, we're automatically teaching them they're missing out on the magic and what the holidays are really about.
It's very important. That's a great ending to that. That's such important advice. They really are always watching. All right, so let's end it at that. Thank you, Brittany, for coming back again and sharing such insightful advice. It's clear that while the holidays can be challenging, they're also an opportunity to grow, connect, and enjoy meaningful moments with our loved ones. Your tips on setting boundaries, practicing gratitude, and staying mindful are going to be incredibly helpful for our listeners as they head into the season. And to our listeners, remember that you don't have to do it all, and it's okay to let go of the need for perfection. Take the time to savor the little moments and don't forget the importance of self-care. Brittany, can you remind the listeners where they can find you on Instagram?
Yes, it's BAF Therapy Services, and then also I have a TikTok now.
Yay! Is it the same thing, BAF Therapy Services?
I think so. I'm not great at technology, but I think it's linked in there somewhere.
Okay, well, I will link them. Yes. And as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with someone who might need it. You can always follow me on Instagram at the running wine mom _ And don't forget to get Brittany's book, Vinny Goes to Therapy, which I'll also link in the notes. That is a great holiday gift for any kids in your life or adults too. So, from all of us here over at the Running Wine Mom, we hope you have a season filled with joy, laughter, and a lot less stress. Keep running, keep sipping, and keep enjoying the joys of motherhood. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.